Blessings, family. Yah, royal family. Pray all is well. Bringing another video. As you see the headlines in the Jerusalem Post, it says swarm of locusts darkens skies of Saudi Arabia. This is not the first time. I want to say it was in the last 3 months that this happened. It was actually in Mecca, and where considered one of the holiest sites. So, family, as we look at this and understand this actually have taken place, this is one of the signs of the plagues that the Almighty allowed during our forefathers being in Egypt. And just to give you some highlights here of this news article. It says it started on Sunday when the masses of the insects were reported to have come from Sudan and I want to say Estra, following unusual heavy rainfall in the region. And this report came out on May the 2nd. It says here, a swarm of locusts darkened the skies of Saudi Arabia over the last few days as they descended upon the city of Najran. The infestation started on Sunday when the massive of the insects were reported. Locusts Watch, United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, reported that the locusts have increased their traditional spring breeding areas in the Middle East, such as Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Iran. Locust Watch Aerial and the ground team have treated over 76,000 hectares of land where locusts have been deposited their eggs. The insight poses a major concern for farmers, given that an adult locust can consume its own weight in fresh food per day, which is 2 grams, the equivalent of a person eating an average of 2.3 kilograms of food per day, according to the USDA. Wow. A 1 kilometer sized swarm contains about 40 million locusts, which eat the same amount of food in one day as about 35,000 people, 20 camels, or 6 elephants. Wow. In January, a swarm of locusts reached Islamic holy city Mecca, where the insects were flying around the holy sites, causing officials to send a specialized team to tackle the problem. Wow. So what I'm going to do here is go to a video that I came across just this morning. And let's see here. I had it up, but evidently it updated. Let me see if I can get back to it. But that is, wow. That many of eating is amazing. So let me go into my library here and get it. There we go.
We need you. We want you to be our choreographer.
We're just going to start with some really easy movement. Left, right, left.
Saudi Arabia is being plagued by a huge outbreak of locusts, which is sweeping the country. Tens of millions of insects descended on Najran, near the Yemeni border at the weekend. Darkened skies and layers upon layers of insects were discovered on trees as swarms arrived along the Red Sea and invaded the country from Sudan and Eritrea. Egypt has also been struck by large numbers of locusts. With a small swarm capable of consuming the same amount of food in one day as 35,000 people, UN experts warned about the level of creatures arriving in Saudi Arabia. Fruits, crops and vegetation are all at risk of being eaten through. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization warned, good rains along the Red Sea coastal plains in Eritrea and Sudan have allowed 2 generations of breeding since October, leading to a substantial increase in locust populations and the formation of highly mobile swarms. A few months ago, a large number of insects invaded Islam's holiest site in Mecca, startling worshippers.
So family, want to give credit to the Vigilant one. He's the one that this actually video was by. So I want to go back and just check out some of the comments that some of his subscribers or ones who make comments on. And one person say, don't mess with Yemen. This is the warning. And this is the warning from Allah. And one was interesting to me. It says that it already arrived in Jerusalem. And I was just scanning through. So it says, we got some here in Jerusalem already. And this was on, 5 days ago. So, interesting family. I just, coming into so much understanding and still seeking the Almighty for more clarity and on, some areas. But I just want to encourage you all to do the same and to where he unlocked these mysteries in of the Bible, because there's so much there that we've been reading and some been reading for many, many years. I came across a brother last night who actually broke down about the bride and the groom, as the Israelites, as the northern tribe and the southern tribe. And it's just so much of what he said has resonated with me throughout the night. And I'm just touched, even more so because I had a actual picture download to my phone. And this was about a month ago. I shared the video. And I didn't go on any websites looking at any wedding dresses. And for one, I wouldn't download a wedding dress that with a lady has her back turned. And it was a supernatural moment. I was away from my phone for some days because, I was seeking the Almighty, and I believe I was fasting also at that time. And I was seeking Him for some, just some things that I wanted to understand more. And it was like pulled away from the phone, from social media and TV. And, I was just meditating, and I came back in the room, and my phone was on my bed, and I looked down, and there was a line saying that something was being downloaded. And I was like, where did that come from? And so I clicked on it, and when it actually final downloaded, it was a wedding picture, with the back turn. And I was like, what? And in that moment, it was revealed to me that I was, turning my back on Yeshua as his bride. And when I get revelations and things, I don't, I take it personally. So I was like, looking at it from the standpoint, because there were things that I was seeking and searching, and I was in a moment, and like if I was, not waiting for a response from the Almighty for more answers. And I went, upon myself to search. So you all, if you get a chance, just go down my videos, and you will see a lady in a wedding dress with her back turned. That was a picture that was downloaded to my phone, supernatural. No one had access to my phone. None of my daughters or anyone. And I would have never downloaded a picture with a wedding dress, for one, and a picture with a wedding dress at that, with a back turn. She was fully dressed in a wedding dress with flowers in her hand, completely dressed, and her back was turned. And the revelation came to me in that manner. So, again, for those who live in America and wherever those slave ships went, understanding no judgment will be done, will be given to those who, those nations that took his people, the Almighty chosen people. Judgment will be done. Even though the Almighty allowed even though the Almighty allowed them to take, because we are part of a prophecy being fulfilled. Just know he's still going to judge these nations. You imagine giving somebody something and you benefiting from it, and then turn back around, you won't get judged for what you got? Well, that's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of people today who walk around saying that they are the true people, when they have not even been scattered according to slavery and bondage throughout this whole world, and what reasons why they will be actually delivered or redeemed from what? Unfortunately, there are so many people who are proclaiming to be the true chosen people, but their, nation or them as people have not experienced a pinky fingernail of what our people who have been enslaved in America and around this world have been. Unfortunately, that one day they're going to have to wake up and they will say that we inherit lies. Our forefathers have passed on lies to us. Now we know we have been converted all this time. We were part of the slave trade, our ancestors. We've been rich this whole entire time. We have been kicked out of many countries, not because our faith, not because we are considered to be Jewish. No, because of the just way how we have carried ourselves, bullying our way through different situations, causing more harm than good, monopolizing. So one day they will come and say, what we've been thinking. What have we been really doing? We have had the upper hand when you all were in the low of the low, below of the low, when you all have been called names. But we have been called names too. We have been actually, far as some have been killed in the sense of what they would call anti-Semitism. We have dealt with that. But when you go back into your histories, whoever, will watch this video and you are a Jew, consider yourself a Jew. Go back into your history and see how did all that come to be. Before I even understood this whole thing about Hitler and about the Holocaust, when I came into the understanding, without really not understanding, I said, you know what? Those people, they died in vain. He wasn't killing them because they were God's chosen people. He was killing them because of how they carried themselves. In any country, they're kicked out, I want to say, close to either over 100 different countries. Not because they were hated, because, they were God-chosen people. It's because the way they conduct themselves, they took on an identity that put them in a horrible position. And unfortunately, there will be, things that will happen upon them. And it is happening. That is not what you think it's for. The curse was never placed upon your people. When you go and read Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68, those are curses that were placed upon certain people. And to this day, the curses still exist. To this day, being hung on trees. You can come back with the Holocaust, but whatever it was, 6 to 12 years will not compare to hundreds, thousands of years our people have dealt with. Being called a nigger, a Negro, being treated no matter where we went because of the color of our skin. They did not even come into the grips and understand it's because we is chosen people, the apple of his eyes. They don't even know that, and some may know that. But it's really amazing how all these presidents and leaders of countries know who we are. For Russia to have in a song that say Negroes are sleeping, it didn't say Jews are sleeping. When the people in America went into Virginia and say Jews will not replace us, they weren't talking about you all. They were talking about the Negroes. They just couldn't say it. Because they knew that the world that they know that the whites in every, consider the skin, pale skin, in every nation, from Asia, even Asians, in Europe countries, their numbers, they're having more death than births. The women not fertilized, the man's sperm count has dropped. They're afraid that what they say that 2060 will look like, but no, it's already here. The minority that are in the schools in America are the so-called white race. Yes. And I tell all my brothers and sisters not to, say stick a finger in the eye or be mad or take up any evil, endeavors against anybody. But just go out. When you in, no matter what state you in America, maybe 2 states that might have more whites than blacks. But just go out. Go out into your cities and look around. On a Saturday or Sunday, or when you're driving your car going to work, just look around. You'll see who is more here than not. They've been telling us that we've been 13% in America since back 50 or 60 years ago. How could a race that they call so-called black people can be the same 13%? They will never ever give us that leeway and say we are in a majority, which we have been, but they're not going to tell us that throughout the whole world. And see, the ones that came on a ship to America from Germany, from wherever they came from, Russia, or wherever they came from, their origin of people, they connect back with those people. Here we are in America, we connect back with Africa. And Africa, as far as the child per woman, is booming. In Niger, which is really come from the word nigger, Niger is where women is at 7.1 when it comes to child. When you need to be at least for one woman should be at a 2.1, or one nation should be at a 2.1 to reproduce. But that's not happening. All these different diseases that are falling upon, in America and around the world, they're hitting home more to the Caucasian race. I'm not saying what I think. I'm saying what I have researched and I have looked at. And not to point the fingers, not to make people feel bad. But time is up for all these lies. Time is up. The truth will prevail whether you like it or not. Because the Almighty, the God that you say, but the Almighty, the Most High people will be redeemed. Who will cleave and come with us. You need to understand who we are as well. You need to love us as well. I'm not going to look at a skin color and say you can't come. But what I will tell you this, if you keep going around and you putting forth, and if you still living in this world and believing that Yeshua, Jesus Christ, is white with blonde hair and blue eyes, then you're being deceived. If you've been told the truth and you didn't seek the Almighty for the truth, you live in a lie, because first, that's a lie. How can you go past go if you have not dealt with that yet? So I'm going to just come forth and, like I said, come to share this with you all. And just know that I love everybody. I was not raised to be racist or prejudiced towards any man. But one thing I do know is that when you as people have not been told anything really good about you. The only time things were shared around February, in the month of February, and that was a short month. Not only that, the names that we grew up with. What about way back then? Everything stopped at when they passed through the door of return, as far as for us to know our past of our people. So when we come to find out that we are the Almighty chosen people, and not because so much what we heard, it's a spiritual movement. He have dealt with people in many ways. He spoke to me and asked me where slavery came from, for me to go on a quest, for me to seek and search. And I did almost a month and a half before I came into the fullness to understand who I am. And from not that only, when I was younger and there were vision and there were prophets telling me what was going to happen to me, but I didn't understand what they meant, that the Almighty was going to use me throughout my whole life. What are the things he has shown into me in the supernatural? So this awakening ain't about we trying to, say, oh, you all can't be because we just want to feel this. No, it's awakening. He had blown. There was a young lady, and if I get a chance, I'm going to share her video. She is a Caucasian young lady, and she had a vision, and the vision was that we were asleep. The Negroes were asleep. This is what she said. That there was going to be an awakening. She had a vision that America map was on, and I want to say America map was laid out in front of her, and it was all cloudy with smoke, and the Almighty had blew on the map and blew away, and when he blew away, it was revealed to her that he was waking us up. And she didn't know what this is to let us know, oh, this awakening is what we experiencing now more in, I want to say hundreds of thousands to millions of people of us waking up. That no man, no president, no prime minister, or no one can stop this. It's a supernatural, just like he did when he reversed it and made us when our forefathers left off the promised land. It's the same way. And he allowed ones to take us and to enslave us, because this was a part of the prophecy due to the disobedient when he told Abraham. Hello, somebody. The Almighty led me to make a video about to the white race, and I did. So check that out. Go down, check that out. What he led me to say in that, because it was on me for a day and a half, and I was trying to not do it, but it just kept coming back real strong for me to do it, and I did it. So this is not by chance. This is what's happening right now around the world, whether it be locusts, whether it be diseases, whether it be, different things happening, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, all deaths. And you say, well, why is this? Why is that? Israelites, get close with your Creator. Gentiles, understand this truth and know that what you've been told in so many ways have been a lie. If you want to know the truth, seek the Almighty for understanding. What they would say as a Jew, they would say Goya, I want to say, a Goya, meaning that a Gentile. I've seen videos of ones that were in Jerusalem. When I first, came into this truth, they didn't believe in Yeshua, and they didn't know I don't know who he is, or I do know, but he's for Christians, not for us. I'm like, what are you talking about? You in the promised land, the Holy Land? Then I come to find out, is that really the Holy Land? What's the Almighty going to unveil? The truth will prevail. You could either decide to wake up even further, or you could decide to sleep as you are. So I want to add before I get off was, when I was growing up, every 7 years, locusts used to come into, well, not really locusts, it used to be caterpillars will come in groves, like it was on that pole. It would be on a tree. You couldn't even see the tree for so many caterpillars. Ooh, and to this day, it makes my skin crawl. But every 7 years, and and just when I was looking at that and kind of thought about it before as well, every 7 years, it's like that's when a slave will be free. That's my understanding. That was a way to deal with, like, every 7 years. They only had you for 7 years. So while we in this captivity, trust me, the Almighty times 7 times as many years that we here and will be here until his redemption and he redeem us. Far as according to Isaiah 11, when he will come and gather us from all the places where we have been scattered. We were scattered not because we got on a plane and fly somewhere or got on a boat and came to the land that they say that is the promised land, or to Israel, or however the situation, or because we wanted a better life. No, we were scattered because it was in prophecy according to Judah would be scattered to the four corners of the earth. Not because we chose to. It was unwilling. Look at all the movies. Look at back in history. Hello, somebody. Okay, family, that's all I have. Blessings to you all. Shalom.